Don't try to convince me. Don't you lie about the...
Well, greetings from Castle Goring, from Mickey and from me and from Dima and from Misha.
Hello everyone.
It's quite unusual that the three of us are together. Gratis COVID, we have been apart for nearly 2 years now, isn't it?
It's been 1 year and 8 months.
8 months and a half.
Well, how does it feel to be home?
Feels good. Yeah. Short, but feels good.
I mean, the weather's not good, so that's not great. So,
but this is England,
This
you
is
know.
England.
We need variety. We can't expect to always have decent weather. We need good, bad weather.
good bad weather. 90% of rain through the year, 10% for summer. Fantastic.
Unless you're in a Mediterranean island and it's 90% good weather.
Yeah, which is so boring, as I used to say in Jamaica, all that unnecessary sunshine and luxury. So boring, so tedious. So, what news do you have that you wish to share with anybody, if you have any you wish to share?
Tina can start. You're the one that's been gone for 1 year and 8 months and a half, so...
I'd have absolutely nothing to say. The whole world is pretty much on the edge of everything, between pandemics to wars that have been going on for ages that have resulted in nothing, etc., etc. So,
Do you remember when we were in Sweden, Noel, Princess Noel of Afghanistan, the Crown Princess of Egypt? Do you remember her telling us about what was going to happen and how she predicted what would happen? Because the Americans had completely mucked it up by having her grandfather, King Zahir, return, and he didn't want to return, and they had him return, and then they decided they would have a president as well as a king, and of course the king was the unifying factor. You don't remember her speaking about that?
I remember there was obviously those in-depth discussions, but what it means and what you've just said goes over my head a little bit.
Well, it's a few years ago as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But what did you boys make of the fact that your good friend's aunt is the only person who has a connection to royalty with her husband, they have actually interfered with the Afghanistan situation and made a speech telling people that they have arrived, and if you listen to them do what they say, everything is going to be all right.
Wait, who?
Harry and Meghan.
They're not politicians.
No, they aren't.
In America they are. They're royals. In America they're politicians. Do you not know?
Oh, okay.
That's what they're aspiring to be. Yeah, that's what they're aspiring to be.
Well, good luck to them. You need entertainment, you know. Donald Trump's gone, so something needs to replace it, I guess.
That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it?
So, well, and you, of course, Misha, have some exciting news coming up.
I have. I left and got a job again, because some people have to go back to work once COVID was sort of like over in England and jobs were open and you could go back to hospitality, and been working for a couple months again, and with Mum and a few investors, let's say, we have decided to open a bar in Worthing, so yay. You know what I mean? No,
Yes.
I'm super happy. I don't know how to say it. It's fantastic. It's really fun.
Good
And-
luck.
and
No pressure. No pressure.
And guess what Misha's called it?
I've heard, yeah.
What have you called it?
I have called it Roots.
Roots. Oh my goodness, my roots. I think it's other sorts of roots.
But yeah, we're thinking more of a tree that grows in roots that grow into a tree or into a flower, or like any little business, it starts from the roots and it grows. So that's why I thought the Roots name was fantastic.
And maybe the connection of Mum being Jamaican and
The bit of the Jamaican side that comes out, of course, that I'm very big fan
and the
of
fact that
Jamaica.
you only still listen to like reggae music and mixes. Good for you.
Still love it. It will have maybe a tiny bit of reggae in the day when I'm working by myself, but it will be more fun music for the people, of course, because it's not for me, it's for them.
No,
They're the ones that are coming out and having fun.
I'm looking forward to seeing how your vision turns out, and even the hurdles that you're going to be facing. Because I don't think people always look at people that either own or try and run a company as a privilege, but it's not only a privilege in some ways, but it's also with many burdens, responsibility, duties that you have to live up to. I think it's going to forge you in a good way. And on the other side of that, I'm sure that, hopefully it's not the first.
I mean, I'm up for the challenge. I've always been put into a challenge and it's never stopped me, so bring it on.
Well,
bring it on.
Let's wait and see when
Misha's
it opens. It's going to be fun.
It is. Well, we're going to have an opening party with friends and family, of course.
And of course, Mickey is going to have to be there. Aren't you, Mickey?
It will be animal friendly. That I have made sure, because it is a pub cocktail bar that will only be serving drinks and snacks, but no food, so animals, dogs, cats on leashes if you want.
Ferrets on leashes?
Maybe not a ferret.
Well, I don't know. What about something like a nice
How about iguanas?
leopard?
You love iguanas.
I love iguanas.
And how about lizards?
Oh, lizards. I can't think of anything I like more than lizards.
I
can.
If you can put a leash on it,
rats.
I'll probably allow it. So, yeah.
Well, guys, thank you very much for looking in on me and looking in on everybody. Would you like to say goodbye to them?
Take care, guys. And maybe see you soon.
I would just also like to say thank you to everybody that keeps on sending me very nice messages, and thank you for also saying that you miss me and everything on my show. That's really nice and I appreciate it a lot. And I hope everybody else that watches Mum channels is doing very well and everybody's in good health and goodwill and all of that. And thank you and goodbye.
I'll add to that also, I just noticed the Castle Goring advert that was done for the Christmas of I think 2-3 years ago, which we spent about 2 weeks of hard work here in the castle with a team of 16 to at sometimes 40 people producing it. I personally was producing it with a fantastic student called Tom Shaw from Solent University in Southampton. And I looked at some of the comments and I noticed about 50 with 17,000 views. Just amazing and very encouraging. And looking back on that, I had a nice little moment of nostalgia. So thank you all for those messages that I stumbled upon a couple of days ago before coming back here. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, go have a look. It took a lot of manpower to get that done. And I hope you'll enjoy it. It's very peaceful, lovely music as well. So take care, everyone.
And now, as soon as my boys disappear, yours truly is going to plunge right in. Well, to return to our normal format, and I hope you have enjoyed seeing the boys as much as I have enjoyed having them with me. Cherry Johnson says, I read that Meghan is blaming Scooby-Doo for inventing anti-Queen comments in his updated version of Funding Freedom and Finding Freebies, and has frozen him out as a result. Do you think that's true? Also, Harry's been playing in a polo match in Aspen to raise funds for Centre Barley and has pledged £1 million to that charity from the proceeds of his memoir. What are your thoughts on that? And is it true that the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge donated over £500,000 to the Invictus Games? Why, well, Cherry Johnson, you have asked 3 entirely separate questions, if I may be so bold as to observe, and I will answer them. Okay? So the first one is, yes, evidently, Megsy baby being ever grateful for all the wonderful things that her Joseph Goebbels has done for her in promoting her version of the truth, her truth, which is not, as we all know, the truth. It was inevitable that she would turn at some point. But I don't think, between you and me, that this is a true turn. I think this is a phony turn. I think this turn is as plastic as her face and his. I think that it is as natural as her face and his. I think it is as real as her face and his. He's making a lot of money that he would never have otherwise been able to make, being her minister of propaganda. There is no doubt that she and Harry, mostly she, that she has been feeding him all the contents of his book. Anybody who doesn't think that doesn't actually connect with reality. Yes, of course, they make disclaimers, but we're used to those disclaimers. Diana made those disclaimers as well. Diana had nothing to do with the Morton book. Hand on heart, she told Robert Fellows, she knew nothing about it. And, of course, she knew nothing about my book, even though I went into the palace at her behest. Like mother, like son, and like daughter-in-law. There is no doubt that this is a phony freeze out. She trusts Scooby-Doo, as you call him, and I call him Amid Scabies, because just hearing anything he has to say makes my skin crawl and makes me want to itch. So, I don't believe it. Next part of the question. Oh, Harry playing in the polo match in Aspen. And he has pledged £1 million to Centre Barley from his memoirs. Yes, that evidently is almost correct, but not quite. He has pledged £1.1 million from his memoirs. That's very generous, until you realise that it is less than 4% of what he claims the signing fee was, much less the proceeds. Very generous, my goodness. His favourite charity, except of course for Archewell, because we need to remember Archewell is not only the favourite charity. Some people would actually say Archewell was the gravy train. But Centre Barley is a genuine charity. And yes, he has pledged 1.1 million out of the proceeds of his memoirs. I am sure he will deliver that pledge, because I am informed that Harry and Meghan are really concerned, because there are one or two people, and I think you're listening to one, who has been questioning their bona fides. Tricky that, tricky. So they are going to make a big splash, and they have to make a big splash. Otherwise, no money is going to be coming in to Archewell for them to live very modestly while they dedicate their lives to charity and only take their expenses, modest as they are, in that tiny little house with only, was it 14 or 16 bathrooms and 11 bedrooms? Tiny little place. Shows how modest they are. Well, it just goes to show, sometimes when you call time on the tune, the band needs to start to play in a proper key and can't keep on with its off-key rendition. And yes, it is true that the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have given, but it's actually a bit over £500,000. It's £560,984 that they have donated to the Invictus Games. Because the Invictus Games are a wonderful charity. And they are showing that irrespective of the poison that spews forth from Meghan and Harry, that they are going to do the decent thing and they are going to behave honourably. Well, it has to be said that Harry and Meghan's behaviour, as we all know, is sorely lacking. But I have a feeling that later on down the line, I can address other concerns about Harry and Meghan's behaviour that you, the viewer, and you, the viewers, have been writing in about. So I'm not going to jump the gun, because if I remember correctly, there's something to do with the Queen a little bit later on. And if there isn't, and if my memory is playing tricks with me, I will interject it, because I think it's well worth addressing. Kay Begreen says, when the Harkles issue a statement, it feels like an underhand way of asking for Archewell donations under the guise of supporting charity, so they can pocket about 90%. Oh, no, my dear, they wouldn't pocket a penny. You must not be unworthy. Thanks, Lady C, for demonstrating Miss Harkle's calming, educated, dulcet tones. Well, I think you will find that they only need to give a maximum of 5% of their takings, not 90%. They can keep for expenses and other things like administrative fees, etc., etc. Donations as well. They can keep 95% and give in other donations to less worthy causes than their own Archewell Foundation, the remaining 5%. Russell Davidson says, Lady C, thanks for your insight into many subjects. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I have a query. Harry and Meghan promised the Queen they would not use their titles to make money from them. Well, we all know that was an open lie in brackets. I do love you guys. Meghan used her title with her book, The Bench. I think you're wrong, my dear. It's called The Stench, but I think you got that slightly wrong. But I forgive you because you're being decent and polite. And I am sure Harry will use his when the first of his tell-all books is published, in brackets, to increase sales and make money, of course, close brackets. I thought it was illegal to use one's title to make money for yourself. Is there no law about misusing your title for cash? Can you clear this up, please? Well, I don't think that people actually understand the nuances of titles and royal style. Harry and Meghan's title is the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Their style, to which they used to be entitled and now which is in abeyance, not technically, but in reality, is their Royal Highness. That's the part of their title that they have been forbidden from using. The rest of the title they are allowed to use. I have a degree of sympathy for them because when my first book was being published, the publishers insisted on using Lady Colin Campbell. I did not want to use Lady Colin Campbell. I wanted to use my Christian name, my maiden name, and my married surname. And they said, no, you are already well known as Lady Colin Campbell, and we are using that. The author doesn't actually have a right to dictate what goes on the cover of a book, incredibly. Sorry. That is up to the publisher. That is not up to the author. So, even if they objected, which I'm sure they don't, they would not more than likely be allowed to use anything by the publisher but Duke and Duchess of Sussex. So I hope I make that clear. So they're not breaching any agreement with the royal family by using that. And they most likely don't have a choice in it, because the publishers obviously are not going to put Harry Windsor and Meghan Markle Windsor, unless, of course, everybody signs the petition so that it gets to be a vast amount of people, and pressure is then put on Harry to voluntarily surrender the use of all of his titles, including Duke of Sussex. If he does, she has to. I hope I make that clear. And yes, of course, it's all about the money. Publishers are in the business of making money. If they know that you as an author have a well-known name already, they're not going to use another name. I mean, I can use other examples that might actually clarify it. The actress Susan Sarandon. Sarandon is her first husband's name. She still uses it. She became well known as Susan Sarandon. She will remain Susan Sarandon ad infinitum. Another case was Katie Boyle. Katie Boyle was a British, well, actually she was Italian by birth, but she was a British lady. She was Viscountess Boyle, and she was married to the subsequent Earl of Shannon. And she was known all her professional life as Katie Boyle. Even after she became Lady Saunders, she was still known as Katie Boyle or Lady Boyle. So I just make that point for what it's worth. So in fairness to the Sussexes, in this instance, we can't really blame them. Anne Lawson says, good evening to the lovely Lady C. Thank you. I fought back tears on seeing your short video clip of your birthday celebration. How sweet of you, thank you. It was so heartwarming to see you with your friends enjoying a momentous occasion and then sharing it with us, your other friends. Thanks, that's how I feel too. I feel we have a nice group of friends, a nice little community of like-minded people. You don't always agree with me, which is good. And I'm sure I wouldn't always agree with you, which is also good. After all, it's not a cult. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. But I do feel we're pretty like-minded and that we actually are a nice little community, which I think is wonderful. My question is, have you seen a photo of Lily, Lilibet, Lilac, License, Lino? Question mark. Please forgive the ridiculous attitude I have to take to make my point. I'm not forgiving it, my dear. I'm appreciating it. I'm not attacking the dear child, but I would like to know why this woman... Hear me again! I've never heard that one before, and I love it in big block capitals. Hear me again. I think it's brilliant, by the way. I've never heard that one before, and I think it's really good. I would like to know why this woman, hear me again, is already in the abuse mode of abusing an infant child by using her tainted skin colour to be a bargaining tool with which to operate her motives. Now wait for this. I am a coloured Maori from New Zealand living in Australia and have been for 34 years, and no one has yet picked up on my skin colour! Exclamation mark. Shock horror! Exclamation mark. Nor have I ever been looked on as a second-rate coloured person. Triple exclamation marks. Up to 15 years ago, Redcliffe was a predominantly white community, and never ever did I feel I was different or coloured in the community. I pray that you will air this comment, as it will support the point that racism, big block capitals and quotation marks, is a figment of Hear Me Again's imagination. Your faithful friend, Anne Lawson. Anne Lawson, I love you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm sure I'm not the only person that it sickens, and I'm sure it sickens you as well. That hear me again. And I think that's brilliant. I hope I can remember to call her that, because I think it really says it all. Because there's no such thing as muzzling that one. She has to be heard, even when she is invisible. She has to be heard. She has to be there, grabbing people's attention. Notice me, notice me, notice me. In word and deed, paying vast sums of money to have her merchandise her so that we will hear her again. So yes, hear me again. Brilliant name. And I'm sure you're absolutely right. Meghan's father, incidentally, confirms that never once, to his certain knowledge, in the whole of her life, until she got married to Harry, was she ever the victim of racial prejudice. Never once. I know that Thomas Markle is a truthful and a decent man. He's half the man he used to be. His health has affected his power of personality. But I know from people who know him well, he is a truly decent man. And if Thomas Markle says that Meghan never once was the victim of racial prejudice, I think we can believe him over her. Marion says, I'll ask another channel, I guess. It's a fair question. 40-year-old woman dates a 17-year-old male. Condoned or not? Well, Marion, with due respect, you didn't need to ask the question in quite that way. You could have simply just asked it. But of course, if you wish to ask it on multiple channels, you're absolutely at liberty to do so. I think it's a very good question, and I'm happy to answer it. Is it condoned or not? Well, it depends what country you're in. I will remind you, President Macron was 15 years old when he met his wife. She was his teacher, and there was a strong attraction between them. And he evidently is the one who pursued her rather than vice versa. He broke up her marriage. His parents tried to keep them apart. He would not be kept apart from her. They are married. She is 25 years older than he is. I think it's 25. It might be 26 or 27. But whatever age it is, he was a minor under the age of consent when they met. He is the President of France. Nobody seems to hold it against him or against her. Double standards? You answer the question. I know what I think. There have been other cases, parallel cases. One where the woman went to prison in America and she died, I think last year, of cancer, having been to prison. And when they released her, she and the boy got married. And I think they had children, but they subsequently got divorced. I think we can rest the case at that. Westhawk 959 says, Dear Lady C, I love your videos. I do have a good question for you. Great. Do you think that Harry and his wife maintain this superficial portrayal of themselves 24/7? I believe that honesty exited stage right upon the arrival of Harry's future wife. I think you're very perceptive. I think honesty didn't only exit stage right, it fled. Because there was going to be no room for reality in the figmented imaginations that were going to give rich riot to their lives and to ours. I suspect of what people have told me that both of them are in character 24/7. That's why he gave up his friends. I know as a fact that people to whom Harry meant a very great deal were absolutely flummoxed and dumbfounded by the change in his personality. One day he was X, the next he was Y. It might have not been one day, but it was a very quick turnaround. Since when he has remained in character. Meghan's personality type is such that she doesn't really have a natural bone in her body, and she doesn't really have a true personality. She is, by her own account, a self-created personality. Don't take my word for it. Listen to what she has said. She believes if you don't like the reality, just create a new one. And she's done it. This is deeply disconcerting to people who have known her. And it's now deeply disconcerting to people who have known Harry. Because, as her father has put it, he doesn't recognize her. And Harry's family and friends don't recognize him either. I have actually seen people like that. I had a friend who other friends of mine used to call my lady in waiting. I used to say, she's not my lady in waiting, she is waiting to be a lady. And sure enough, she was. She clung to me the way deodorant clings to armpit for 15 years, knowing that the best bet for her to meet a lord whom she could marry would be through me. Took 15 years, but it happened. And I have to tell you, it was really freaky. Once she met him, she jettisoned her previous personality, which it turns out was a mirror of my personality, and she adopted his personality. Because people like that have no personality. They simply assume the masks that they think will work best for them to achieve their objectives. It's very sick, it's very weird, it's very disturbing to be around. And yes, I think Harry and Meghan are in character 24/7. Robert Shooter says, actually it's Shooter, I think, not Shooter, Shooter. Robert Shooter says, so sick of Harry and Meghan dragging the Queen into their attention-seeking rubbish. Yeah, I knew, thank you, I knew that it was here somewhere. It is actually beyond belief that Harry and Meghan have allowed, and don't believe they haven't, because they have allowed Amid Scabies to attack the Queen directly in the updated version of their book that he wrote with them and with their active cooperation. I hope I've made that point clear. I suspect I have. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. But I knew it was going to come. Let's remember, Meghan and Harry have already previously attacked the Queen. Oh, woman, what makes you think you have the right to royal? I mean, You're just an old woman. I'm a proud, confident, mixed-race woman, feminist, social activist, believer in change, supermodel. I used to be a supermodel. Not that Linda Evangelista or Naomi Campbell or anyone can remember. However, it's there in black and white. She was a supermodel. That, of course, was when she was practicing to be the great Hollywood star that she became, because we need to remember, Meghan was a Hollywood star, right up there with Meryl Streep. In fact, that dinky little Meryl, I mean, she better come to me for acting lessons. Yeah, I think she better come to me for acting lessons. God, I tell you, you couldn't make it up. They have attacked the Queen. They have used Amid Scabies to attack the Queen. They're distancing themselves from it because they think it plays well to deny. They are denialists. But the thing about a denialist is practically no word out of their mouth can be relied upon. I think it's a disgrace. I know as a fact that the royal family thinks it's a disgrace, and everybody else attached to the royal family, or everybody who supports the royal family, thinks it is a shocking disgrace that this ungrateful little hussy who has scratched her way up the social ladder can be so ungrateful as to kick back sand in the face of someone who welcomed her with open arms. Let us not forget, the Queen gave Meghan Lady Susan Hussey. Lady Susan Hussey is one of the Queen's best friends, and in reality, irrespective of ranking, the Queen's senior lady in waiting. She handed her over to Meghan to teach Meghan the ropes. I know this is a fact. I'm friendly with people who are very friendly with the Wardgraves. Susan Hussey was a Wardgrave. Her brothers are, one is the Earl Wardgrave and the other is Lord Wardgrave, who is a provost of Eton and was a minister in Mrs. Thatcher's government. I've actually met both of them as well, and they are charming, absolutely charming. The family is a really nice family. Not for a second has Meghan ever acknowledged this. In fact, she lied about it on Oprah and said she was given no training. That was a lie. L-I-E. And Meghan, if you think I'm doing you an injustice, sue me. Sue me. Sue me. Jan Godfrey says, happy birthday, Lady C. Did you hear that Meghan told Harry to keep out of her way and stop taking the spotlight from her? I wouldn't disbelieve that, let me tell you. I couldn't stop laughing. This shows what sort of person she really is. Well, doesn't it just? But was there ever any doubt? Even when they were doing royal duties and she was supposed to be behind him, she'd tap him on the back. Automaton, watch what you're doing, stop, and she'd circumnavigate, bounce in front of him. I've arrived, look at me, look at me. Oh, so pleased to meet you, so pleased to meet you. She was always pleased to meet everybody. I was brought up to believe that you said, how do you do? Because you can't know you're pleased to meet people until you've met them. It's the mark of somebody who is over eager to please or a phony. We won't ask which one she is. She might be both. Julie Quinney says, I was wondering if the dog has had a visit to the dog taxidermist. Well, Julie Quinney, you are not the only person who made that comment. Several people wondered if that dog was a taxidermy dog. Still to the point of terror. I'll tell you, that dog has been very well trained. So well trained that it's had the life and joy trained out of it. I wouldn't want to know how to train a dog so well. My dogs have always had bounce. They've always had joyousness. They've always had personality. But then I am not an egotist or a narcissist or a sociopath. I do not have accoutrement. Accoutrement. Not pets, accoutrement. You know, like accessories, like this bracelet or this ring or a handbag. Accessories. Make good. I'm a dog lover. I'm a dog lover. I'm such a dog lover that the dog is absolutely scared into paralysis when it's around me. I cannot see what other interpretation anybody could put on it, and you have all, in my opinion, put the right interpretation upon it, which is either the dog is a fake, or then the dog is too still to actually love the person who is in the frame with it. Kevin Mason says, where Machiavellian Meghan and Harry, spare plank, Mountbatten are concerned, always follow the money. That's where you'll find them. Big plans for the future, I have to tell you. Big plans for the future. You're absolutely right. Follow the money. You notice in their retirement, their 4 or 5 or 6 or 18 months or however long it's going to be baby leave. I think it's 5, to not be facetious. Not 1 week has gone by that they haven't been grabbing yet more attention. Those of us who hoped we were going to get a break from them while they took a break from us have discovered they've done no such thing. And in fact, if Amid Scabies is to be believed, and I think he can be believed, because his claims are her claims. His claims come from her mouth. Doesn't matter how they come. If it's 1 remove or 2 remove, it comes from her. Every single claim comes from her. unless, of course, one or two of them come from Harry. But pretty much we know who the architect of everything is. And according to Amid Scabies, in the updated version of the book, which incidentally, if you would like, I'm happy to review it, the updated part of it. So if you want me to review it, please let me know. Big plans for the future. They are going to be busy, busy, busy. They're going to be highly visible. Well, they've already been highly visible, but they have treats in store for us. More visibility. Crikey. I don't know how that's going to work, because they are already ever present even when they're absent, but they, I'm sure, will find a way of cramming themselves down our throats. Sandra says, "Hello, Lady C. I love watching your videos and laughing along with you. I am Australian and you are spot on with your comments. Australians don't like Harry and Meghan, and the Australian press is at the forefront of the anti-Harry and Meghan movement. Journalists over here roll their eyes when reporting news on the couple. Some even burst out laughing or comment, Has and Megs should just shut up. I think the Queen and the royal family owe a great thanks to you as a public figure and author, and also a minority of the UK journalists, as you challenge Has-Been and his wife's account of their terrible racist life in the royal family. If you didn't do it, then who would have done it?" That's a very good question, my dear, and thanks for the vote of confidence. If I had not written my first Diana book and spoken the truth about Diana and Charles and their marriage and the dynamics within their marriage and outside of their marriage, Prince Charles would have been up a creek without a paddle, because Diana would have got in the first blow. The same thing would have happened in a different way if Harry and Meghan had been allowed to execute their plans without my intervention. That is why people leaked the information to me that they did the year before Harry and Meghan bolted, because they knew I would be true and fair, and that what I wrote would stand the test of time, and that you, the public, would be able to rely upon it, and that no matter how much misinformation and propaganda, and no matter how much manipulation took place, once it was there in black and white, it was a reference point. And it has been a reference point. And I have to tell you, I don't do it because I am an agent of the royal family, because I'm definitely not. I am totally impartial. I speak the truth and write as I find the facts to be. Let the chips fall where they may. If you've read my previous books, for instance, my book, The Untold Life of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, where rather tiresome hacks like something, what's his name, Michael Bourneton or Hornton or something like that, And even Hugo Vickers was ill-advised enough to make a comment before he'd read the book. He's since then apologised to me, but it's still there in black and white, incidentally, that he and that other one made comments. Can you imagine if I had not spoken the truth, what would be happening now? But I did speak the truth. You know, the beauty about the truth is it has a sound to it that lies don't have. I have always said, I investigate until I hear the truth bell ring, and it needs to ring in my head. I write as I find, and those critics of mine who have decided that I somehow am an apologist for the royal family should read what I have written before they make complete asses of themselves, the way certain journalists in the past have done, such as Yves Pollard, Michael Bourton, or whatever his name is, and idiots like Philip Schofield and Holly the Dolly. Because the fact is, most journalists are pack animals. That's why I basically have nothing but contempt for the average yellow journalist or royal rat packer. There are one or two royal journalists that I do have respect for, but most of them I view with the utmost contempt, because they don't know what's going on. They're busy rubbishing everybody who does know what's going on until the tsunami of information of what's going on swamps them, at which case they simply flip. Very, very, very dodgy. But do I expect gratitude? No, I don't. I don't expect gratitude from the royal family. And if I got it, I would throw it back in their faces. I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for the truth. It's nice when the public acknowledges that they recognize that I am speaking the truth. But if my subjects started to be too appreciative, I would take great offense to any gratitude that they were displaying towards me. I'm not doing it for them. I'm not interested in currying favour with anybody. And that includes the royal family. They know it. People at the palace know it. All my friends know it. I speak to everybody in exactly the same way. And if I like you, I'm nice to you. And if I don't like you, I make myself clear as well. And I don't like all members of the royal family. I like some. And I am afraid I wouldn't really want to be friends with them, any of them. Cordial terms, yes. Friends, no. Curry favour, only when apples grow on a lilac tree. And on that note, I will say, I hope this has been of some interest to you. If it has, please like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and keep the questions coming in the comment section. Thanks and goodbye.